Hello, inmates, and welcome to the cellblock Scorch Week 257B. This is Bones, and I'm recording as the winner of this week's Scorch. This week's prompt was given by Red, and it was, somehow, your entirely fraudulent insurance company has become a highly successful insurance company. I had two ideas for this one, but my initial idea necessitated me actually understanding how insurance companies work, and man, I wasn't about to research that. So instead, I fell back onto the tried and true. Yes, that means you're getting some of my reoccurring characters in this one. So, without further ado, here is insurance fraud. Hey, Maestro? The man looked up from the notes he was scribbling, eyebrow quirking in silent inquisition. He was expecting Zachem to visit, but the clone's tone of voice indicated that something was out of the ordinary. I have the reports for this week. Yes, Maestro agreed blandly, having expected him. This didn't give any indication as to what was wrong with them. Instead of responding, Zachem shuffled in and silently proffered the spreadsheet detailing the week's expenses. This, more than anything, made Maestro nervous. Zachem was never quiet. So he took the sheet and glanced it over. Nothing looked out of place. Absolutely nothing. Which was weird, given the fact that they were committing insurance fraud. "Where's the original?" he asked. Zachem was the one in charge of doctoring the information, but usually he would present the original undoctored file before he altered it. That's the thing. Zachem was rocking back and forth on his heels, and now Maestro suspected that the man was amused instead of concerned. That is the original. Maestro stared a moment at his underling, then gave the sheet another glance over, just in case he had somehow missed something egregious. No, everything looked great. Weird. That doesn't make sense, Maestro told Zachem, as if Zachem hadn't figured that out already. The clone shrugged helplessly. The new accountant? Zachem suggested, although Maestro was already shaking his head. They both knew that the system was set up to make it look like the accountant had access to and power over all of their figures, while the real numbers were collected in the background. So even if the new accountant was inclined to cover up crimes he wasn't committing or benefiting from, besides their generous salary and benefits offerings, he shouldn't have been able to. Even so, the only difference between business this week and business the week previous was that their new accountant had started work on Monday. He was the only difference, even though it was utterly impossible that he was involved. Just in case Romulus had somehow gone in and done some actual work for once, less likely than their shady business suddenly and inexplicably becoming legitimate, Maestro quickly pulled up the bank statements. Both the public ones for taxes and the secret offshore ones. The public ones looked just as good as they should. More, even, because there was more money there than there should be, since it wasn't accounting for the siphoned funds. But the offshore accounts had increased as well, as if they had somehow magically doubled that portion of the money. What is this? Maestro muttered, eyes flicking repeatedly between the two bank statements and the spreadsheet that legitimized them. He wasn't the best at math, but Zachem was practically a human calculator, so if he said something wasn't adding up, then it wasn't. That, Zachem confirmed his incredulous suspicions cheerfully, is way more money than we made this week. They let that hang in the air for a few moments. Are we running a legitimate business? Zachem pondered as Maestro tapped on his computer screen, like that would reset the entire internet and show the numbers he expected. Somehow, it seems so. Maestro frowned, not quite pleased with the idea. He'd been scamming people far too rich for their own good, ensuring things that should have been in museums or in their native countries, not in the living room of some privileged fool. On top of having the pleasure of denying the rare claims, redirecting their absurd payments had been quite fulfilling, if he did say so himself. Having the money somehow without taking it from them felt less like having his cake and eating it too, and more like bitter medicine. And besides the moral reprehensibility of not stealing from the rich, there was the more important question as to how this impossible cash was appearing in the first place. Perhaps he'd talk to the new accountant, just in case. What was his name? Ah, yes. Stravarius.
Before Bones can continue to wax poetic about the Maestroverse, I, Red, the judge for this week, will be giving some comments. As you all know, this was week 257B, and I obviously judged it. Let's see. I had a lot of fun with all of the pieces I got this week. They're all very, funny and lighthearted, which is what I was really going for, and I think that Bones, their piece, was just the one that made me happiest, honestly. Yeah. The other ones that I received were really good. I enjoyed them, and I don't really have a lot to say. This prompt exists because of a random word generator, as always. And honestly, if you're a writer, you should do that for yourself, If you just click on a random word generator a couple of times, it can get your brain juices flowing. And, it can give you some really good ideas. So, if you're ever stuck and you just want to write something small and silly, it's a great way to give yourself an easy prompt. Yeah. Now I'll let you get back to Bones.
Yay, Maestroverse! So, this is an AU side story in which Maestro obviously decides to just scam people instead of going the supervillain route, and for some reason Stravarius is working as an accountant. I don't know. He is very good at math and would be a fantastic accountant, but he also still has his powers, which is why he sees the computer they've set up with the fake numbers, and because he believes they're real, they become real, and somehow they're both successfully stealing money that Stravarius doesn't know about, but also all the money that he thinks he knows about is accounted for. So that's how the insurance company has become legit while still committing crimes. Poor Maestro just wants to commit crimes that make him feel good, and yet not even that can go his way. Now he's just getting free money for nothing. Yeah, that's all I got. So, as usual, you can look up the tag Maestroverse on the Patreon for all the connected pieces. Some of them are free because they are Scorches, and there are also some Embers, if you were inclined to look at those. I think there are more than 10 of them now, total, in this universe on the Patreon. So, there's a lot to look at. Anyway, that's all I had to say. So for the next week's prompt, I gave, "It was so slow, she didn't notice it stop." And I don't think this was from anything specifically. It was just a really dramatic line, and I was feeling the drama that week. I'll tell you, I was not disappointed. We got some real doozies. Next week is, well, it's not next week from this, but 258B is gonna be great. Yeah, and that's all I had. So thanks everyone for listening, and keep that fire burning. The Cellblock Scorch is a production of Stellacore, an independent group of nerds sharing their obsessions with the world. Links to all our projects, including Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube, Patreon, and Ko-Fi, can be found on our link tree, posted in each episode description. Follow us on Tumblr or Instagram to see the prompt of the day before the episode drops, and a quote from each Scorch the day after. If you would like to support our creative endeavors, you can give a one-time tip to the Ko-Fi of the writer of your favorite Scorches, or check out our Patreon. There, you can access the Scorches and episode transcripts for free, or sign up for Spark level support for $5 a month to gain access to our embers as well.